Good morning. Happy Friday. Well, a little ugliness this morning. And looking at the cues before, the question is, does it wipe out last week's big gain? As we're going to see by the end of the day. The S&Ps still don't look too bad, just within the trading range. You can see the bottom chart there. It went down to about 437. And that's a significant gap down. Below yesterday's low, day before yesterday's low. And you got that bottoming tail bar right there. Oh, you can't. Oh, you damn charts again. There we go. All right. I forget once in a while. All right. So I was talking about, you can see spiders down here, 437, and where that is on the day chart, just above, well, moving that down there, down near the day before yesterday's low. Well, actually below it, right? And near the bottoming tail bar, which puts it around here, give or take. So a break below there, clearly, well, we got a sideways trend here. A break below here opens up the door to the void. That's the scary part, right? Tuesday's low. Right. That's the bottoming tail bar, right? The bottoming tail bar. And well, it's almost there, right? Give or take. And this little blip over here was tested in the gap fill. So I really don't put much weight on an area that's been tested in the past. It's kind of like using up your bullets, so to speak, or weakening, pulling some bricks out of the wall. However you kind of analogy you want to think about it. But the strength, that could be utilized as a reference point once it's tested, and then it fails. We look at these charts from a psychological point of view about how traders think, and it works the majority of the time. Prices can retest and make reversals and so on, but excuse me, we have to also look at how prices are getting there, where'd they come from. And this is coming from a new high, a new all-time high that's being rejected, which it was partially yesterday, given some of it up at the end of the day. And so, Amazon would have been seen as, a reason to buy more versus, hey, whatever's great, what's the encore. So take the money. So this reference point, while we're going to look at it today, unless we get a buy the dip bounce that rips it right back up here in the first, half hour or so, and it just hangs down there, the thought process begins to, buyers are not so strong. And once it enters here, it opens up the door to retracing this bar. So far, no big deal. We'll see where it goes toward the end of the day, of course. And considering last week's gap down reversal, wide range green bar, that is what we call an event. It's a very important line in the sand on the weekly time frame. And there's lots of support down here. So the takeaway is whatever happens, it's going to be very meaningful for those that purchased, say the market or Amazon yesterday, or Facebook and so on, things that have been going up, and they go down, and in the short term it's painful, and maybe intermediate term, as I'm applying my thoughts to this chart, is, well, it's really not a big deal, but it's going to be some pain for those that just bought in ahead of the earnings. All right, SPX. I don't know. Let me see. Can you see that? I don't know when I have things detached, whether I drag it over there or whether I have to put it on the inside. You see spiders. All right. I was trying to avoid not having to. Let me see if there's something going on. Now you see it, but it's like a giant chart that I have to fix. It's a pain. Yeah, whatever. Anyway. All right. So got this resistance area. We know. So what we do is we look at spiders, we look at the futures, and because this doesn't move pre-market, we can see, okay, where this is going to be. So it's going to be here. So then we say, well, based on what I've already explained, if it gets through here, it opens up the door to coming down to these other levels, which, as already mentioned, like this, having been tested once, gets a little bit unclear as to whether that could hold there. So how far away can we get from those danger areas, knowing that if there was some kind of route today, what would be safe? It was pretty far away. It was like, let me go back and look again. $43.10, $43.15. So would it come all the way down here today? I don't think so. Right? I don't think so doesn't mean it won't. You all know that because there's nothing to stop it from going down here, because of the way it went up. But that's as far away you can get, and 4,300 is going to be a big level. So I think that's the way to go. There's nothing up above, and so we'll see. Let's look at the futures and see how they're acting here. And they don't look so bad. 43, yeah, 43.50. We've still got the trading range intact, and it's just hanging down here. Right? So everything we do has two sides, right? Up and down, not trends. There's a sideways trend, but when we think about voids, well, there could be a void up and there could be a void down, and that's the situation that we have here. In that, at this point, all we are focused on is, can this hold? It's holding for the moment, and this area, as we looked at in the other chart, it's been tested once, so we discount it. And again, it's the same area right here where buyers are showing up. So we've got a void below. Now we've got a void above. What to watch here at the open is, can it move up into here? And if it does, how far? The further it goes into here, the greater the probability of down here being safe. That's retracement concept. And the further it can go into here, the greater the probability this is going to hold. Right? Now, whatever it is, whatever it may be, McGraw, right? And I don't have to think in what's going to happen. I just watch what is happening. Right? So right now I see weakness in that this void was created hours ago and it's hanging here, and no one's stepping up to the plate in a big way other than to hold it here and see, what it does. So if it cannot rally, right, I'm just giving you the thought process. If it cannot rally and it starts to break here, it opens up the door to going down a relatively significant amount. Right? We've got a topping pattern here now. And from the bullish side of view, they need to get it back up here to maintain the trading range and maintain this as just a overall consolidation within this bullish move. So retracements apply here. We can void, there's the void, and common sense started here, it ended there. The deeper it comes down here, not only today, but in the coming week, the more this move becomes negated. Right? Okay. Well, there's the S&P Qs. And there's the bottoming tail bar, significant reference point. We're down at 362. Where's 362? Down near, pretty close to the low of the bottoming tail bar. Right? So down here, right below, got these pivot highs, got a little old pivot low hanging there by itself. Same thought process. Can't go up, opens up the door to going down. And look at the transports. Well, we can't see what they're doing here, but is this becoming part of a bottoming process where the money will flow into the dogs and bring up the rear? Right. So there's lots of stocks that have been beaten down, and that is the logical thought as to rotation as money comes out of some of the the fangs and PayPal and so on. It makes a home into what's been beaten down. So we start to look for events like this deep retracement, which is the big green bar, and it starts to go sideways. Then you look at different sectors, whether it's airlines, whether it's cruise lines, whether it's hotels, what might be outperforming. Not that hotels are in here, but you get what I mean. What's showing relative strength, and then what could move up while the techs digest their gains. Right, mid cap continues to be a big rollover here, but it's gotten up to the trading range. So another sign of rotation of money going into what is underperformed. It's still got plenty of supply there to the left, so that certainly isn't a buy. And we didn't look at the Nasdaq Futures. You can see similarly, they're just hanging down here. No one's stepping up in the plate in a big way. How far does it retrace and negate the big green bar? And if that happens, obviously it communicates the potential for a larger correction. And last week being just another Mr. Schizo move. Russell, just a mess. What else can you say? Just whip back and forth, top of the range, bottom of the range, in the middle of the range now. Dow holding up pretty darn well. And so I haven't looked yet at what Caterpillar is doing. I don't know. I guess they would have, maybe they reported already. Yeah, it looks like they did. It's down, but that's starting to bottom. And Deere, which we were looking at yesterday, gapped above this range here, holding up fairly well, like that weekly chart. So this is the idea of what has been underperforming, and let's see how they hold up in a market that, if for the moment, appears like there'll be more selling pressure. And the ones that hold up well and don't violate support are the ones that are likely to outperform. It's not difficult. It's common sense. You just have to know the thought process. Bitcoin, right? We covered the bottoming process. Now it's at resistance. We look to the left. It's consolidating. Same thing. Does it hold up here, or does it retrace deep? The longer it holds up here, the stronger it is. And if you can get into the void, the bigger the potential move. Clearly, it doesn't look like that's going to happen today. Crude, right? Just crazy. What's crazy is to have a drop like this, which what we saw in equities the week before last, as it went down and then come right back up again. I mean, just saying historically, it's just not the norm, but that this market is not normal. Gold, right? At resistance, look to the left, looking better. And who knows, if they ever get that $3.5 trillion passed and all of that corruption money, this thing missed maybe on its way to 2000. We'll see. Yeah. I explained about the little difference in the breakdown bar failure that occurred here versus the one I explained that yesterday versus this one. The same but different, right? Message very similar. And see the nice move that occurred. I explained yesterday, pre-market thought process behind that. And this is beginning to turn up. It's at resistance. So, today, I think in equities, either it's going to have some decent downside potential or we are going to be bored to death here with whips going back and forth. And we'll see how that unfolds here shortly. Interest rates aren't doing much of anything. Just hanging here, got extended to the downside, got close to the support level here. I haven't been able to rally much. So maybe that's a good sign if we can hang here, but so far, no big bars. So each day during these pre-market conversations, Dan and I try to provide some insights and interpretation of these chart patterns for you to use forever. And one of the things I said this week, I forget what I was looking at, but it was something that was bottoming out. And I was like, all of the bars are relatively equal in range. There's no power bar here. There's no event. And for right now, there's no event. It's in a downtrend. The retracement here was decent, and you can see the bottoming tail bar. We just got an inside week. We need more information. So what would an event be? Well, if this was a stock chart or, SPX, it would gap down here and rally back up and form a big green bar. And that would say, buy it. We don't have any of that now. So we'll stand aside. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Happy zero DTE day. So we'll obviously be, as always, looking for those trades, earnings, usual suspects. Anything else setting up that's liquid? I was looking at the Qs, maybe just if they can take out a 30-minute high just because they're down the most. Amazon whacked, but it's not bouncing. And so the expected move yesterday, I think, was 101 bucks, something like that. So remember we had the long talk with somebody in the green room who wanted to short way out of the money calls. And I said, look, I'm in favor of it. And I think these things are priced for perfection. We had a long talk. But do you remember the numbers I said, folks, in the green room? I said, what if it gaps up 250 bucks? You're going to be in pain, and that's the game you're trading. So instead of it gapping up 250, it gapped down 250. That's 150% more than the expected move implied by the option prices, Black-Scholes model. So whoever shorted puts into the close, I could see somebody shorting like the $3,500 puts yesterday, saying this ain't going down there. Amazon's a beast. Everyone loves Amazon. Well, guess what? You're now $160 in the money. So that is well, it's not a game. Like I said, it's a strategy. That's the strategy you're trading. It's a high probability trade, but it's the tail risk that will run you over like a freight train. And I don't like that strategy because it's more gambling. I like doing it after. So 33.39, let's go to a 60. Wow, it's not even showing up on a 60. Wow, wow, that is an ugly, 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 ugly gap. I don't know. I don't know. Let's just wait. All right. So anyways, so our opens, obviously a couple things pulling in against us, but no alarms going off. Um, AA, not AAL. Looks like our biggest problem child here. We've had a beautiful wide range bar here, and it just can't get going. So that might have to take a stop. Look, Jets here, RCL, the junk was trying to bounce and just couldn't do it. Win Hotel, we've been watching. Look at that, just garbage. LVS, I said, LVS, I'd love to get around 37 bucks on the weekly. Uh, so anyway, let's go to a couple earnings here. When you were, how would you recover, Dan? Joe, your drop down, all panelists and attendees. Joe, are you saying if I were short Amazon? I'm sorry, short puts on it? Well, the answer is you got to manage it like any disaster trade that's gapping way under your stop. And that's with the charts. So I can't give you an answer right now. But our go-to, wait, you got to tell me what you're in, Joe. A short put is a bullish position. So that would be 30-minute low, not high. So I don't know if you're talking theoretical, let's wait. If you're in something, then sure, I'll be happy to help you real time. But if it's theoretical, let's not waste time on that right now. All right, Capri. Anything gapping up in a weak market is strong. Looking at my Dow 30, Procter and Gamble had earnings. That's the biggest up one, up 2 and change. But Capri here, 54 and change. Put spread watch. Procter and yeah, I sent a big list here. I went through all the earnings things, and I posted in chat a number of possible put spread candidates, call spread candidates. Procter and Gamble was one of them. Gapping over this ugly red bar, gapping over all these real bodies. So PG, I'm going to put here. It's a put spread idea. Yeah, there's a number of restaurants. Well, McGraw, beating means absolutely nothing to me. So, it means nothing to me. But show me a chart. So this is a bullish chart. It's gapping the resistance, but here, remember we had a nice lesson yesterday on retracements. This is blasted through greater than 100% retracement, and now I got a 40% buy setup. So this was a good pattern over yesterday's high, but now it's gapping a resistance, so we have to watch it. But it's definitely a watch, sure. I know there was here's 2 other restaurants, McGraw, just off memory. BJRI, there's not much volume, but that is a bear 1, 2, 3. And a Texas Roadhouse was another one that whatever, I can't remember the symbol. TX. Oh, TX for Texas Roadhouse. RH, is that it? Yeah, there you go. Texas Roadhouse, bearish gap down. Let me continue here. Away. I thought this was a hotel leisure thing, but I looked it up this morning, and this is an ETF, and it's technology in the travel. It's like the booking.com, and they have Uber in there, Uber, Lyft, and TripAdvisor. But it could be a ETF we want to keep an eye on. This Saba was crazy volatility yesterday. Look at pre-market gap down, went up, down again. Man, that is an e-ticket at Disney World. I'd stay away from that. Then gap down 140. Ooh, that's an ugly gap. 141 all the way to the 50 here, but no pattern. So I'm just in pruning. All right, wrap. Now it's gapping down. Well, it says it's gapping down, but I don't see any prints, so I don't trust it. But this is a W bottom at the 200. So today's Friday. If it can take out Wednesday's high, then it has a price void. It's a double bottom. So I'm going to keep that on the list. Upwork 53.80. It's gapping on the, it's a mess. We'll come back to you. Twilio, bear gap down. We'll come back. This was one that was a bullish bar. We were going to buy this one yesterday, but for earnings. And now look, it's gapping here. So this actually was on my list as a bear call credit spread. John Williams, I missed Tesla. Yeah, we did a Tesla put spread yesterday. Just wait, it's making a lower low here pre-market, and the Nasdaq's a mess. The daily chart is still fine, but I would just hold off, John, on Tesla. David, Autodesk put spread 305. Hey, George, Matas, your drop down. 305. It might be okay, but it's still far from the 20 with a potential weak market. So that's the only hesitancy. I like put spreads closer to major support, whereas that was a continuation pattern. ROG, no volume, you're gone. Mr. call spread. Bitcoin is down 1,150 points. So, but this is now we got major resistance at 700. So if we can get a call spread, that might be an idea. Clack here, I like. Clack, bullish gap breakout, but see the gap's too big. It's off my chart here, 339, so that's gap's too big. But remember Qualcomm yesterday? I like the weekly. Look at this weekly on Qualcomm, looks fantastic. That had an earnings gap. FTNT, could be a call spread. It's extended. It's the biggest green bar in this whole advance. Far from the 20. That's getting ahead of itself. Team, wow, that's the pro, not a pro gap, but that's the bullish gap of the morning. Wow. I can't guarantee it, but I could probably say with a very high degree of confidence that blew away its implied move also, but to the upside, not the downside like Amazon. That's a big old gap right there. WWE had earnings, but this is a very bearish setup. Look, you had a no-brainer breakdown here, and the darn thing can't bounce for 2 weeks. It can't bounce. So, I don't know. We'll see if earnings are going to do anything to it. Nvidia, no pattern, but it was a breakout failure. Price void, maybe 30-minute low. You could short that. TMOS, it's a gap breakdown. There you go. There's a call spread candidate. 10-minute low, McGraw. Call spread candidate. We'll come back to it. Warren, garbage, X. Nothing. Weyerhaeuser. Oh, talking about, look at Procter and Gamble, middle here. That's strong. That could be a put spread candidate.